Let me take you back in time when shit was bad and we was broke.
I did start reaching out and letting people know, hey, this is what I'm going through, and I think I need help. Kobie Dee as an artist, storytelling is what I'm about.
Lost some friends to suicide and I still say them in my sleep. Sometimes I stop and think, man, will I ever be at peace? Another year, another funeral, another friend deceased, fuck's sake.
Indigenous storyteller Kobie Dee gives a raw and emotional interview as I spend the day with him in Melbourne. Let's go, Rush! Alright, Kobie Dee, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
So I thought we'd start off by talking about where you grew up. If you can paint a picture of the neighbourhood that you're from.
I'd say when I was younger, it was very exciting. There was always something going on. There was always still a lot of love. There was a lot of community. There was a big sense of community growing up. But at times it could be rough. You know, I think in my neighbourhood was exposed to a lot of different things at an early age. And I guess when I was younger, it just made it more exciting. But over the years, I think it's started to change a bit. It's a lot more quieter than it used to be when I was younger. And
so there's always someone that believes in our journey when we're growing up. Who was that person to you?
Definitely my mum. My mum definitely, even at times when it felt like she didn't. Us as kids, like I think we don't see that in our parents. But me growing up now, like I know that my mum always had belief in me. But I guess when your son tells you that he just wants to be a rapper and doesn't do anything else, it can get a bit frustrating. I remember writing my first rap, and I actually credit my mum for pushing me in that direction, I guess, without her even knowing, and that was from her listening to Eazy-E in the kitchen. I remember just hearing the lyrics. It was just so different to what I'd heard before.
That's really cool. You've also got a background in boxing, and I'm curious to know what came first, boxing or rapping?
Definitely the rapping. You know, like I started writing when I was like 10 years old. But it was still something that I kind of just kept to myself for a while until wasn't until I got to high school that I started, you know, letting other people know that I rap. Actually, one of my good friends, he was like battling people at school and he had his own recorded song, and you know, another one of my best friends said that he rapped as well, and we kind of had our own little group. It was really just for the love, like we just loved doing it. One day we recorded one of these tracks when I was like 14, and this is back when we had Nokia phones, and like you could or whatever phones it was, the Motorola phones and that, and you could Bluetooth the MP3s to each other, and you had like different ringtones and stuff like that. And I got to school, and one of my mates come up and he had my song on his phone, and I was like, how'd you even get that? He's like, oh, such and such sent it to me. And then before I knew it, everyone's like got my song on their phone, and then someone's uploaded it to YouTube, and then after that it was like, people just knew me as Kobie Dee. After that, like I was just Kobie Dee to everyone.
So are there any similarities between rapping and boxing?
Similarities, I think definitely the feeling of before I have a show is the same feeling as before I'd have a fight. Like if you'll watch me before a show and I'm shadow boxing, I'm listening to music, I'm pumping myself up, and it's the same feeling that I get before I had a fight. Like I pump myself up, you're nervous, and then once you get into that ring or once you get onto the stage, those nerves are gone and it's the best feeling in the world. 6 years ago today, I won the lightweight championship, state title, and a year ago today, I dropped my EP, Gratitude Over Pity. So, big day for Kobie Dee.
Show us the photo, I'll just zoom in on it. So how would you describe Kobie Dee as a rapper?
I don't know. I think just I feel like I'm completely honest about who I am. Definitely storytelling. Storytelling is a big part of Kobie Dee and who I am. And it's not even just Kobie Dee, you know, it's like there's so much behind that. Like, you know, my culture is a strong storytelling culture. For Aboriginal people, we didn't have any written language. Everything was passed down through song, dance, art. You know, that's all storytelling. So for me, when I'm doing what I'm doing, it's just what my people have been doing for thousands of years. So I definitely say Kobie Dee as an artist, storytelling is what I'm about.
Well, that's what grabbed me the most about your music was the storytelling. Straight away I was like, oh, this is incredible stuff. It reminded me of Nas a little bit, some of his storytelling from like...
We're born on the same day too. So.
Oh, hey, there you go. So in your opinion, what makes a good story? Like, what's the key ingredients to telling good stories?
I couldn't say what the key ingredient is. I think for me, I always enjoyed stories, like reading books and stuff when I was younger. And I remember learning about like what it takes to create a story. It's like you've got the beginning, and then you've got a problem, then you've got to find a solution, and then you've got to find the ending. So I guess a lot of my cases of the songs I write, you know, the endings aren't too pretty, but I think for me it was showing that not every story like has a happy ending.
And let's break down the creative process a little bit. Do you start with the beat and write the lyrics to the beat, or do you write the lyrics and the stories first and then try and find a beat or make something to cater to the lyrics?
It's changed over the years. When I first started writing, it wasn't to a beat. I just write, and then it turned into writing with a beat. But a lot I'll do, like if I'm sitting in with a producer, the producer will be making the beat, and then once they've got the drum pattern, then I can kind of figure out what direction the song's gonna go, how the flow's gonna go, and I'll usually just start writing as they're making the beat. But sometimes when I'm writing alone, I need to pause the beat and I need complete silence, and I need to I just remember the drum pattern in my head. I write, maybe like 4 bars, and then I'll put the beat back on, rap it to see if it sounds good, and then I'll pause the beat again, and then I'll keep doing it like that.
Speaking of music, your latest song, Basics, if we can break down some of the lyrics, I'd love to understand a little bit more about some of the lines in there, even if it's 1 or 2 lines.
The first verse was about where I'm at today, you know, we're living good, all this, boom, boom, it's like this is where we're at, but then I take you back. Let me take you back in time when shit was bad and we was broke, you know? It was like taking you back. You know, life wasn't always like this, and this is where I came from to get to where I am today. You know, lost so many friends to drugs, I swear that cut me deep. Lost some friends to suicide and I still see them in my sleep. Sometimes I stop and think, man, will I ever be at peace? Another year, another funeral, another friend deceased. And suicide again has like been a massive thing in our community. Like just me personally, like that I've known, there's been about 12 suicides of people that I know. When I was shooting the music video for that song, that's when I had just lost a friend to suicide, you know? Lost him to suicide, and 2 days later I had to shoot the music video for that. Had to just jump straight into that and rap about losing friends to suicide. It really hit me. That part of the song always sticks out for me.
Kobie, let us know where we're at.
So we're at the Ichpig headquarters right now. The brother Jimmy picking out some gear for the show tonight. So yeah, I've gone with one of the orange jumper here. Thanks, bros. See right there.
Australian made.
Like the best of the best.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the episode with Kobie Dee. Make sure you subscribe to the channel because your support helps me get more artists onto my show. Much love and thank you.
All right, so let's get into some of your inspirations. I know Nipsey is a big inspiration to your music. Has he influenced any of your songs?
Yeah, definitely. Like In My Zone, the first track on my EP, Gratitude Over Pity, that was actually written to Hustle and Motivate by Nipsey Hussle. So I listened to that beat, like I loved that song. You know, I had just gotten out of rehab at that point, and that song to me, I think, was like kind of like my victory song. Just by everything that he talks about, and you know, he's always about uplifting community. You know, he was still in his community, his African heritage, and how going back to Africa changed who he was. I could just really relate to him, you know, like for me it was going back home country and connecting back to my culture. That's what really changed something within me as well. And when I was just starting to like really get into his music, and then he got shot, I learned so much from him. I'd always watch his interviews. And
yeah, there's one interview that I just watch on repeat of Nipsey, is the Breakfast Club one.
Yeah,
he's in the all red.
Yeah,
there's so much knowledge in that video.
100%.
So one thing that you did recently too was you went out to a lot of the Indigenous communities. Why was that so important?
Well, for me, I knew that these communities, and especially where I did my tour, was around my tribe. So my tribe, I'm a Gomeroi man, from the Gomeroi Nation, and I knew that a lot of these kids from these communities, that they don't get the chance to see these kind of things, these kind of performances. And so I knew it was definitely something that I wanted to do. But it was actually someone in my team that had suggested it and said, you should do a Gomeroi Nation tour. And we planned it out, and we hit each of those towns I had never really been to, but I have family in every single one of them. And this massive tour of like, not only doing this for these kids and the communities, but like within myself, it was fulfilling so much within myself, you know, to go back to my country, to where my people have been for thousands of years.
And I know that you're connected very strongly with the culture. I see you dancing. Break that down a little bit. Why is it so important to go to country and get that connection? Like, what does it do for you as a man and also for your music?
I was always involved in culture and always had that around, but it wasn't until I started really taking that serious, and we went out on a camp down the south coast and really connected back with who I was. And once I started connecting myself back to my culture and connecting it back to something that, you know, is within me, it just filled me with so much purpose. And with that purpose came responsibility. You know, it's like, you know, our people didn't fight for nothing. You know, our people fought for us to have the rights to speak our minds, to, you know, to tell our stories. Our people fought for us to have the right to have an education, to have all these things that growing up, like, I didn't feel as was important, you know, to where now, like, I realise, like, that can't all just be fought for nothing. You know, we've got to just keep learning our culture, and we've got to keep doing the stuff that's going to make our ancestors proud, you know, especially having a daughter. You know, for me, I grew up without my father, so my father didn't teach me about culture and teach me the stuff that I really felt like I needed to learn. But now I have the opportunity that my daughter doesn't have to go through that. You know, my daughter, I can learn, so I can pass that down to my daughter. You know, she doesn't have to feel like she has to search out for who she is, you know.
Well, speaking about your daughter, how has she changed you?
She's definitely changed my life a lot. I was a bit of a menace back in the day. Finished boxing, and the music was kind of taken off. At the same time the music was taken off, I was starting to do drugs again, falling back into that cycle and drinking and partying. You know, with the shows, performances became parties, and I found out that my daughter's mother was pregnant. There was excitement, but there was also a lot of fear within that. Fear of, am I gonna be a good dad? You know, like, am I ready to be a dad? And ended up with some health issues that kind of spiraled me out of control a bit. I always said I didn't want to be like my dad. I always said I didn't want to ever do that to my child. And, you know, within a few months of when she was born, like, I started seeing myself becoming my father. And I think that's what really changed something within me. And when she was about 3 months old, I did start reaching out and letting people know, hey, this is what I'm going through. And I think I need help. And yeah, I went into a detox when she was 3 months. I went into rehab. I was in rehab for about 4 months. And it was just such a massive learning curve being in there. You know, like, just within the first few weeks of coming down off all those drugs and just sitting with myself, like, this overwhelming feeling of emotion, of guilt, shame, but also like the love that I have for my daughter, and stuff that I was numbing when I was doing drugs. Like, I didn't feel any of that shit. I was seeing my daughter every weekend when I had weekend leaves, and I started realizing, like, I have so much to be grateful for. You know, I never, it's just things that I didn't see when I was in addiction. And my daughter just has, ever since then, has become, like, you know, my world. Everything revolves around my daughter. So yeah, she's definitely changed my life for the better.
Oh, congratulations, man. I respect that a lot.
Thank you.
So you should be very proud, and I'm sure she's going to be thankful when she's older too. I mean, you've been through a lot already, being so young. What's the biggest life lesson you've learnt so far?
That you just got to keep pushing. Like, no matter what happens, like, life doesn't stop. The world keeps spinning, and you just have to keep, no matter what I've gone through, like, there's been so many times where I've just, like, this is too fucked. Like, I can't do this anymore. And, like, you know, I think growing up, I've lost a lot of friends to suicide. Like, our community as a whole have lost a lot of people to suicide, and we've seen so many people that have gotten to that point where, like, I just can't do this anymore. And I've been there myself, and realizing, I think, of being in that position and being in those places, and then to where I'm at now, and to have made it through, like, I think the biggest lesson I've learned is to just keep pushing.
Well, that's why it's so important that you put out your music, because you're inspiring a lot of people. I've seen on the YouTube comments people saying that your songs have, stopped them from committing suicide and that type of thing as well. So, you're doing incredible stuff. Now, to finish off, what is Kobie Dee's biggest dream?
My biggest dream, I think just to own my own house. I think that's a massive thing for me, and like for my daughter to be, for me to be able to put her through uni, to be able to put her through like these kind of things, and for her not to have to worry about that, and to just feel like I've done right for my daughter. I think that's my biggest dream. That's my biggest goals. Also to be able to get to a place where I can do so much for my community. I think it's always where I circle back to, is I want to get to a place where I can really make change in my community. Those are a few of my dreams.